My brother is a sociopath, but I survived my childhood. Ask me anything. He was first diagnosed with RAD as a child and now has an official sociopath diagnosis. Everyone saw it coming. Ask me anything, because he has given me some crazy stories and has taught me a lot of lessons about people. Alright then. Jim, a crazy story from your teen years. Well, when I was about 13, so he would have been about 8/9. He tried to kill me on Thanksgiving. I tended to take a book outside into the back of my grandma's garden to read before the big family dinner. My little bro came out with a shotgun. Later found out it was my grandfather's that he kept in his closet. He just walked right up to me smiling, aiming the gun at me. Being kind of used to this behavior, I stayed pretty calm and tried talking him down. After about a 5-minute conversation, we decided it wouldn't be in his interest to kill me today because that meant that they would likely cancel the dinner and he wouldn't get any of the chocolate cake our great aunt makes once a year. Wow. To be calm when someone is holding a gun at you takes a lot of balls. Was it loaded? I have no idea if it was or not. He walked away with it, and we never spoke of it again. On a lighter note, a couple Thanksgivings later I got to shoot him with his airsoft gun. Him and my cousin had been given them as presents, and it was pretty satisfying. Seems like it might have been a good idea to have a word with your grandfather about securing that a bit better. Yeah, it's now locked away in his workshop after my grandma found out he had it. 10 years from now, where do you imagine he will be? Or what do you think he will do? He'll either be dead from pissing off the wrong person or a drug overdose, or he'll be in jail for murder or rape. Me and my parents are honestly shocked that it hasn't already happened. All of our therapists have been telling us for years to accept the fact that this is what his future holds. What's your relationship like with him now? Are you angry? Sympathetic? How do you think he feels about you? Up until earlier this year, it was as healthy as a relationship with someone like him could be. I pretended to be sympathetic and give him the best advice I could without him knowing that I'm 100% aware that he is lying to me and trying to manipulate me. At the moment though, I have cut off all communication since he tried to get my parents put in prison, as I don't want to end up being next. He still sees me as someone he thinks he has under his spell, and that's honestly the safest place to be with someone like him. What does your brother do now? Is he able to function just fine, but a huge He recently moved in with my grandparents after trying to get my parents thrown in a jail and got a job at Home Depot. This happened after he screwed up a job working at a resort by never showing up to be taken to the ski lodge he was being transferred to. The reasoning he wasn't showing up, we found out, was because he met this 28-year-old mom online and within a month had done this. Lied and said he was 29. He was 17 with no license. Convinced her to have his baby. Said his previous GF stole his credit card and ID, which is why he had no money. Got her to leave her kids with him while she went out of town for work. And got her to give him his car. My parents found out, and after giving him a chance to tell the girl the truth, they ended up telling her. That led to him trying to get my parents thrown in jail. So he's a huge that is able to function as long as he can trick someone into taking care of him. Does he have delusional followers? You know the type that no matter how many times they've been screwed over, they think he will change or do not believe he's a sociopath and just misunderstood. Also, what were the early signs? Asking for a friend. Yeah, my grandparents believe every word out of his mouth to the point that they tried to help him put my parents in jail and would secretly give him money, phones, plane tickets, etc. As for early signs, I guess it was just that he didn't really care about anybody. He lied, had no conscience, a complete lack of empathy, but he is very charming and can make you believe almost anything. What would you say is the most horrifying thing he's ever done? It varies because things he did when he was younger were horrifying because of his age, and then he's done some just awful things as he is older, but there is less shock factor now. One that sticks with me other than the time he was gonna kill me was something he wrote when he was little. It was summertime around 2nd grade for him, and we would play school a lot as a game. I was the teacher and I would give him assignments and stuff to do. Sometimes they were fun silly things, like play on the trampoline. Other times it was like actual school, to help prepare him for some of the material he was gonna learn in the coming school year. One time I had him write a one-page essay about whatever he wanted. Goal was to help him with his handwriting. It was a good day with no real issues, so when I read the essay it was very shocking. To paraphrase, he wrote, "I can't wait to rape my sister, she is such a rape will be fun." It was pretty disturbing. Disturbing is an understatement. I'm thankful that he did follow through. I'm so sorry to hear you had such a terrifying childhood. That's what is odd about it, because for me, it was just normal. Wasn't terrified most of the time, and I was pretty equipped to handle these situations. Shortly after the essay, his therapist told my parents that he would recommend not having us live in the same house until this behavior pattern about wanting to hurt me passes. I do tend to cope using humor though, and looking back these stories are kinda funny in hindsight, but I do have a morbid sense of humor. Did he go to public school? Were you in school with him? Was he getting any services at school, like an IEP for emotional disturbance? He did go to public school for a while, but I'm 5 years older, so we never overlapped in the same school at the same time. He was kicked out of about 4 school districts and a military school. He did not have an IEP as he was able to manipulate the people who evaluated him at each school pretty well until the inevitable expulsion. Has he ever sexually assaulted anyone? Not technically that I know of, although I would not be surprised if he has. He has lied about his age to get a girl to sleep with him, and I know that at one point he had about 5 or 6 girls that he was actively sleeping with. None of them knew about the others, and he was telling all of them, "I love you, you're my soulmate, I'm going to marry you one day," etc. Whatever the girls wanted to hear is what he would tell them. This might be too personal, but you're allowed to not answer, just let me know. Okay, so I looked up what rad is and is a bit concerned. What do you think / saw your parents do to your brother that you think helped with him getting rad? He was adopted at the age of 7ish months. Before that he was with his birth mom, my aunt, and CPS took him from the home for neglect. She's a drug addict and has had a child my cousin taken before. Once CPS took him, my parents ended up adopting him, so while he has no memory of him first few months on this earth, it still can have a psychological impact on a child. But my parents did and gave everything they had to help him, and nothing worked. Did he believe in taking care of himself? In maintaining a well-balanced diet and a rigorous exercise routine? In the morning, if his face was a little puffy, did he put on an ice pack? Kidding of course, haha. But actual Q, what was it like? You mentioned the one on Thanksgiving, but any other stories? Yes and no. He eats awful and a lot, which is bad because he is diabetic, but he is very into exercise and is pretty big and strong. He likes to look good, all brand name clothes down to his socks and underwear. The thing with him that's scary is he has looked like he was 20+ years old since he was in middle school. As for IQ, I don't know what his number is, but he is super scary smart in most ways, but is also a complete dumbass in others. There are a lot. I think I've touched on how he tried to get my parents arrested. I told the Thanksgiving one, the rape essay, the tricking a woman into having his baby. What kind of story do you want? Funny, disturbing, douchy? Is there a possibility that he has fetal alcohol syndrome, FAS, or fetal alcohol effect, FE? Babies exposed to alcohol in utero can be brain damaged in some ways that strikingly affect their behavior, especially with regard to impulsivity and not being able to make cause and effect connections. Jails are full of people who have this. It's often misdiagnosed as RAD or as oppositional defiant disorder. Best wishes to you, and I hope he doesn't hurt you or anyone else. I think it is possible, but he was born perfectly healthy and the biomom is now dead, so there is no way to know for sure at this point. I agree, this does seem possible. Do you love or hate him or neither? I love him for sure. We grew up together, brother and sister, and that'll never change. It's just not safe to engage with him anymore. Sociopaths can be functional and not murderous. It's only media and movies that portray them to be killers. This is true. It is a spectrum. Some really are killers, others are super successful businessmen. You've got your Damers and you've got your Trumps. What is your favorite swear word? Never really thought about it, lol. I guess it would have to be f or shit, since those are the two I use the most in my day-to-day life. You have any good memories with him or nah? Yeah, there are plenty of good memories with him. We had fun as kids. There were just some obvious bumps in the road. At least you've got those. My little cousin is probably going to end up like your brother too. He killed an injured bird with his hands when he was like 5 and has been violent since. I have RAD and ADHD, 20F. It's been pretty rough, but my birth father was a sociopath and I never wanted to ever be like him. Yeah, the disorders themselves are not a sentence that means you'll be a horrible person. People come out on the other end and the disorders end up being an asset to help them succeed in life in a new unique way. My brother unfortunately just isn't coming out better for it. I totally get that. Did he ever start fires or hurt animals? Do your parents feel like they have lost their parents to him? Must be really hard for them, and it sounds like you're a real ally for them. Yeah, he wasn't allowed to be alone with our animals as a kid. After he got one of our dogs ran over, and he would go outside and find frogs, and then throw them on the ground to kill them. And yeah, it's hard on them, but they are coming to accept it. This isn't the first time there has been an issue with the grandparents, so this isn't something super sudden for them, but it was definitely a shock that my grandparents would lie under oath for my brother in a way that could send their kids to prison. Growing up, my grandparents were my best friends, so losing that is the thing that's been the hardest for me through all of this. Was he ever arrested, and if so convicted of any crimes? He should have been, but has been lucky so far. He's had the police called on him multiple times, from things like going in the girls' bathroom and looking under the stall, 6yo, stealing, to selling drugs at school. I have no idea how he's gotten away with stuff, but he can talk his way out of almost anything. With the drugs, he just got kicked off of campus and then put into the ICE school, was told if he was spotted on campus he would be arrested, but as far as I know that's as close as he's gotten. Do you feel like he fixates on you in scary way? I read though your answers and it struck me the way you describe your coping and survival behaviors around him remind me of someone caught in a large dangerous animal's path, standing very still and hoping to be ignored. He used to when we were younger. He got in trouble a lot as a kid, and then he would see me. I was a good kid, quiet, and also really sick, and want the positive attention that I got. In his mind I was stealing all the good attention, and that's why he was getting in trouble. If I wasn't there, then everyone would think he was the good kid. What was everyday life like living with him? Looking back at it, was it a constant battle of getting through the day one crisis at a time, or did you have some downtime in between? Did you develop any telltale sign/sixth sense that he was up to something? It was loud and chaotic growing up with him, but it was normal to me, and now as an adult life feels very manageable, since there isn't an actual crisis every other day in my house. And yeah, it's hard to explain how I know that he's lying, or up to something. One thing though that is always a red flag, is he will call you crying saying he loves you. If he is ever crying, he wants your sympathy, so that he can convince you he needs you to give him something. If he says I love you, it means he is trying to get on your good side, because he needs something from you, but he doesn't want you to know he is going to take it. If he does both, it's because he knows he is caught, and doesn't want me to turn him in. What's it like talking to him? Can he hold a normal conversation? What's the worst thing he's ever done? It's weird having a convo with him. If you are unaware of what's going on in his life, then he seems like a very smart, charming man who has overcome a ton of adversity in his life. If you are aware, then it's just a constant spew of lies in almost every conversation. Other than the ad, he can maintain a conversation though pretty easily. And worst thing he's done to me, my family, or someone else? I think your grandparents should try to incentive him to join the military, so that he can end up killing people who deserve it at least. If we end up lucky, he will be killed in action. He honestly seems too dangerous to be in society, and is just a ticking time bomb. It sounds like it is only a matter of time before he snaps on someone, which will likely be the grandparents by the sounds of it. Why didn't the psychologists lock him up, by the way? They have no problem getting people for suicide ideation or bipolar disorder. He can't join the military, unfortunately, because he has diabetes. And I'm pretty sure the laws on that are pretty strict. You can't just lock anyone up, because in the future they might snap. I know with suicide, if you tell someone you think about killing yourself, it is completely different than telling someone you are going to kill yourself.